Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
Now see, people don't know this, Drew, but we're in the least offensive / I mean this in the nicest way possible. It's not very often that you're here at the same time as me.
That's true. There's a little lagging behind. It's not out of disinterest. It's just different timing.
Fashionably late is how you like to style it. Probably
I
the
like to
only
make an
thing about
entrance.
you that's fashionable, mate. But nonetheless. But that one, I might have to go back. This is how sad I am. I might have to go back in the edit and watch frame by frame and see, because I think that's a photo finish or photo start. Is that the same sort of? Either way,
Start.
we're both here at basically the same time. How lovely! Hello, mate. How are you?
I am very well, thank you, mate. It's lovely to see you.
And you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's been a little time since we've seen each other, and I've had the joy of your company.
So how does it feel to have gone a couple of weekends without waking up and I was going to say waking up and seeing my face? That's not what I meant.
That's not quite. We might need to dial back on that one a little bit,
As people know, because we referenced it, we worked together a couple of weekends back. But we were doing something that is, I was going to say, relatively new. Number one, to the company we were working for. It's a fairly, would you say, about a year old? Maybe not even.
Something like that, yeah. Can't be much more than that, yeah.
But certainly a relatively new concept, I would say, to the world of theatre or to the world of immersive events or however, but yeah, so we worked together for the whole weekend essentially, or the majority of the weekend, including sort of like going over one day into another where we couldn't really change from what we were doing. And actually I think it's quite an interesting conversation, Matt. Sorry to dive straight into a topic.
No, it's good. No, go for it.
It was new for me, very much new for me, the level of improvisation. So I when I was younger, I did like a improv workshop sort of thing, and improv comes in a lot when you're devising theatre, developing theatre, thinking on your feet and coming up with stuff. But more often than not, that's in a controlled environment. When you look at the theatre we do a lot, certainly the immersive events where you're playing a recognisable character, improv comes in a lot more at that point, because you have to be able to react to situations, and audiences are always unpredictable. And as much as there's a script, there are elements of being able to think on your feet and doing things on the fly, so to speak. But what we've just done, or what we did a couple of weeks ago, where we did a whole immersive weekend, essentially, there's almost no downtime, if you get what I mean. So normally when we do those events, even if we are sort of staying at the hotel or whatever afterwards, the following morning you get up and Drew and Sam go and have breakfast in the hotel. And if you see the punters, they might say, oh, that was a great night, or oh, that was a shit night. They won't say it was a shit night. But at that point, we're you and me. Whereas what we've just done is we do an afternoon, well, sort of like a early afternoon checking in the guests, so immersive sort of experience, fully improv, where the guests are coming into the hotel or the venue. Then we do an afternoon tea, which has a bit of scripting and some improv as well. Then we do the evening show, which is primarily scripted, but equally you never know what guests are going to do, so you have to do a little bit of improv. Then there's an element of socializing after the scripted bit, again fully improvised, still in character. And the reason you're still in character then is because the following morning at breakfast, we're in character again. So it's almost like it's almost like being in a film where the cameras are never off. And we know there are certain actors that have done sort of that kind of real immerse themselves in a role, or the method acting kind of thing. But it's something that's relatively new to me, because I haven't done huge amounts of improv. I mean, I really enjoy doing it, particularly when it's focusing on a character like this. But it's something that's becoming a lot more common, I would say, in the arts. There are sort of these where you go to events and locations where a lot more improv is coming into performance. Like there might be some framework, or there might be some bits of scripting and stuff. But yeah, I think
Yeah, I mean,
quite new.
I think you're right, Sam. I mean, I mean, I think there are. It's being set up, and we've talked about, you know, the immersive work and the kind of dinner theatre thing that we've been doing. You know, how we met and what, you know, and before and after the unwelcome guest, and how it has continued. And I think there's a lot. I think it's grown because people really want to get involved more and more. It's like escape rooms and things like that. People like hands-on experience. And I think what we were doing at the weekend is that people, they know what to expect. Well, they know who to expect, not necessarily what to expect. They know they're going to a hotel, they're going to stay for the weekend, and there are various elements that you describe that take place. But then there are those moments where we don't have anything. We are just within the characters that we're playing, very well recognized. So there are demands upon you from that point of view, because you have to be in character. You have to give them that what they expect that character to say and do. And then and as you say, there's the pure wild card of they're in a hotel, there they are, Mr. and Mrs. Jones have travelled all the way from wherever to be with you for that weekend, for that length of time, and go, you know, and they expect us to be in those characters, to stay within those characters. And like you say, some of it's scripted, but then there are those odd moments where someone does something or says something and you have to run with it. You have to go with it, but within that character. So being within the character, I don't know how you find it, but it's a gift, because you're 50% there because they know what you're going to do, but you don't know what they're going to do. But then there's also then the challenge of doing something new within that character that you wouldn't have seen that character do within the TV program. So you're pushed a little bit further. I think that's the fun part. For me, that's the fun bit of adapting now to where the audience are taking me. Because as you say, it becomes very popular. So the audience do set you those challenges. They do want to go one step further than maybe the television series went, previously.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a fine line, because, and not to sort of correct, but pick up on something you said, where you said something that they wouldn't have done in the team. I think something that they didn't do is probably more accurate, because I think you still have, particularly when it's recognizable character, I don't think you can go beyond the scope of what's reasonable for them. And reasonable takes on a whole new meaning.
Of course.
But when you've got ridiculous characters doing stupid things. But I'll give you an example. So we obviously were doing a Fawlty Towers tribute weekend event. Now, Basil Fawlty is almost famous for being a prude, for being anything sort of sexually charged or anything sort of romantic. Oh, it's all very kind of, wouldn't go near it, wouldn't touch it. Like he's very prim and proper and doesn't go. So you wouldn't really be able to do, I don't know, something really crude, rude, sexualized, something, unless you did it in the frame. It was always done within the TV show, where it was accidental and he was either oblivious to it or so apologetic for it. You couldn't have him all of a sudden be this sort of red-blooded kind of charging down the lady, that sort of thing, because it wouldn't fit. And your audiences are going in and I think they're expecting two things. One, they're expecting all the stuff they've already seen. The famous lines, the famous reactions, the sort of the clips, the elements, the storylines. But they're also expecting that, but expanded. What then they wouldn't be interested in seeing is that character being such an antithesis of themselves that it feels almost jarring. So sorry, I've sort of talked myself in circles there, but you kind of get where I'm going.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's interesting because you say what they wouldn't do, didn't do. But we sometimes are not in charge of that. That's what I'm saying is the audience sometimes throw us a curveball, and you go, my character Manuel, he's never had to deal with something like that. So within that character, like you say, if someone, if you get a woman who jokingly, sort of gets a bit flirty with Basil. Basil will shut her down and go, oh, blah, 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 meet the wife, blah, blah, blah. I've got to go and change the whiskey in the bar, whatever, and get out of there as Basil would.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's what I'm saying is those situations, things that they didn't do, they wouldn't do. They're in the hands of the guests. They're the ones that throw those things up. I mean, we never, I certainly don't. I never engineer things to take us somewhere. Yeah, sometimes if you're, I do things. If I'm serving at a table, I will do something, but it is very much within the character to serve something badly, to have my thumb in the soup, to spill something, to knock something over, and then one deals with that as the character would. But I don't think we ever engineer anything, because that, as you go, that's outside the audience's expectations. Yeah. I think, and you're quite right. These shows have become, the immersive stuff has become so in demand and so popular because audiences can. I think that's the idea. Audiences can influence things. They do have. I do see people do something and they go, are you going to get out of that then? And like, well, to be perfectly frank, there's nothing that I haven't seen or done over the years I've done this character that I can't react to and get out of,
Yet.
So, I say that. Yeah, thus far, touch wood. But I think that's it, that people can, when they go to see, like Secret Cinema, they see that they are part of it. They dress up or whatever, and some of the shows that we've done, dinner theatre shows, we've done LOLO where they all come dressed with stripy shirts and garlic around their necks and berets on, which is brilliant because they are part of that. But also, I mean, a lot of improvisation and a lot of fun that is literally throwing you something, go for it, and it's always that. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to shut you down. I'm going to run with it, and wherever this takes us. It's not my fault. It's your fault. You've done this. Let's go for it. And that also makes it exciting. But as you say, we have to stay in character. So there's also that demand from a purely acting point of view, of maintaining that character under all circumstances. Like even when we take a little break and maybe have a drink in the bar afterwards, which Basil Sybil did often in Fawlty Towers. Sybil sat at the bar quite often. So if Sybil's sitting there with a glass of red wine or whatever she's got, and people are coming up chatting, you chat to them as Basil, Sybil and Manuel. Yeah. And that is very interesting because, and I don't know about you, but they really push sometimes to find out who is behind it. So where'd you come from? Barcelona. No, where'd you really come from? Spain. No, where? Barcelona, Catalonia, I understand. Talk, and you have to, talk it as much as you can. And it's interesting because sometimes that I've done it where it's got to a point where they've almost got pissed off. Yeah. They've almost got, where'd you really come from? Barcelona. You're like, no. Come on, guys. It's interesting.
Why are there people who are so adamant they want to trick you or break you? I
think that's
it. Is it because they're uncomfortable?
It's exactly that.
Like,
I think it's because we, and I don't the phrase is wrong, but we have the upper hand. We are in charge. And I think they want to win a little bit back, or they want to trick you or something like that. And I never do it. And the more people do it, the worse I get. I just don't understand them. Why do you want to know? Oh, you want my passport? You with the government? Are you a policeman? I just go right into it. But I don't know why people want to do that. I don't know. Sometimes it's genuine interest. And I always say, ask me again tomorrow. Yeah. Because then, after breakfast at midday, I'll be out of character. If you want to come and find me then we can talk. But now, enjoy. It's that funny thing that we spoke about before, of people sometimes not being able to just give themselves over to the experience, relax, chill out, and go with it. It's a funny one. It
is odd, and you always get it that again in the sort of immersive world, there will always be someone who they want to one up you, and I don't understand why. There are some people that obviously don't find it comfortable, but it's difficult because you want everyone to have a good time, and you don't want to ever put someone in their place, so to speak, but when you can quite obviously see that person is trying to have a laugh at your expense, but at the actor's expense, not at
Yes.
the character's expense. That's where I'm like, you've opened yourself up to this. I'm in a position where, as you say, I've got the upper hand because I am protected by this character. I mean, particularly in this sort of scenario. In fact, a lot of the characters I played in immersive shows, Basil Fawlty is quite rude and abrupt. He doesn't always mean to be, but he has that power there. Back in the days gone where we used to be able to do Only Fools and Horses tribute shows, again, I played Boise, who, again, very in-your-face, abrupt sort of loves himself. Or Trigger, as an example, thick as shit, essentially, so could
Yes.
get away with most things by just being oblivious. So these characters almost have that power to be able to kind of win in any situation. And in fact, if you look at the shows that work as immersive shows, immersive dining experiences, it is always about characters who either always win or always lose, but that's where the humor is. They've always got that sort of outcome. And for someone to try and go, right, I'm going to try and break this down, it is really negative, and it's nice to be able to have the power to kind of go, no, you're not going to spoil everyone else's enjoyment of this. You're not going to try and derail what's going on here just because you feel uncomfortable. We would never want someone to specifically feel uncomfortable, but there's a way of dealing with it. And I know not everyone is particularly good at it necessarily, but I would say the majority of people I've worked with, as performers, we are able to see when someone is uncomfortable, and you don't play with them.
Oh,
You
no.
don't,
No,
you don't push that.
yeah.
It's different in stand-up comedy because that is very much a case of, if you're uncomfortable, I'm going to seize that opportunity and really, really kind of take that. In what we do, yeah, you'll push boundaries and yeah, you'll sort of tease people. But when you can really see someone's uncomfortable, that's just going to make everyone else uncomfortable and yourself by pursuing that. So you sort of
Yeah.
step away from that. It's the ones who want to beat you, which I've never really understood.
I've never really understood that.
Yeah. You've opened
it,
this up. We're going to end it.
it's that thing about, you know, the lovely thing about improvisation and in general is it's always that accept and build. There is no. You just go, yes, I'm going to run with this.
Yeah.
And if someone says your hair's on fire, you go, oh God, and, you know, you don't go, oh no, it's not. You know, you go, oh, is it? Crikey, what are we going to do? And I think, you know, that was the you know, the general rule I was just like, if someone says that, you go with it, run with it, because if you shut it down, you're going nowhere. So we never shut that was, you know, we never shut those people down. I play with them as long as I can, and then try and find a way of, you know, of getting out of it. It's up to me to get out of it, not them. You know, it's my job. But it's interesting because all those there's a lot of shows now that are built around improvisation, and you know, people come to the weekends that we do because they love the program, they love the subject matter, they love the characters. People that go to, I mean, one that I haven't been to see it, but I'd love to see it, is Ostentatious, the one with improvising around Jane Austen, because I was made to you know, to read her books at school, and they drove me mad, my O level, and I was too young to understand them and understand the wit and that. Or maybe I just was too stupid to understand it. I kind of do now. So I would love to see people play with that on stage and, you know, throw them something. And the clips I've seen on social media are very, very funny. And everybody in the audience is there to share the joke of, you know, Jane Austen, this style of writing, this style of comedy. And it's gently sent up in a beautiful way. It's very funny. And watching the actors within not any specific character of Austen, but within that style, really well tightly. They really know their shit. But you know, you can throw anything at them, and anybody on stage, you know, they walk through doors and they don't know what they're going to walk into, and suddenly someone says something or does something, and it is brilliant. I think it's hysterical. And as a Jane Austen sort of not devotee, but you know, someone who appreciates it now, I sit there and laugh, and I also laugh at the skill, you know. And there are other shows at the moment. There's Showstoppers,
Oh,
which
the
is
musical one. Yeah, I
the
mean,
musical one.
and the
Utter
examples
genius.
we're giving here, I think, show an immense level of talent because
Oh
with
yeah,
Ostentatious, you've got to know most, if not all, of Austin's work pretty much inside out. Like you've got to know that
all
to
the
have the
style.
basis,
Yeah, yeah,
then have the skill
yeah.
to improvise. Showstoppers, which is the improvised musical, to be able to create music on the spot, like singing on a subject that's literally unbelievable. But I think so. Like I said, I've not done a huge amount of improv. I did a workshop, and as you said earlier, it's the yes and, isn't it? That is the
Yeah,
rule. You
yeah.
never sort of
Never
stop
say no.
something. So it's that continual flow, and there is a skill to keeping that going. I mean, I grew up and still now do watch Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah,
Just
I was about to.
phenomenal amount of talented people in that, including they have the odd sort of special guests from other areas of the industry, like from film or straight theatre, and you think, wow, had no idea they could do that as well. Like just
But it's
amazing. I love it.
it's interesting though because we was when we opened this, there are lots of. I mean, I'm sure you've been to auditions and been to workshop auditions where you've had to improvise and they always. I mean, I get people to improvise when I cast. I go right, do blah blah blah, and it's not to see whether they can act, whether they can improvise. It's whether they've got an understanding of the style of where we are. Do you know what I mean? And you cast something. I go, well, do this. And you think, are they going to be able to? If they might not have any knowledge of panto, they may not have done one, but are they open to having a bit of fun and being able to take on this style? So I'll improvise with people and go, yeah, they can do that.
Yeah.
And then I'll say to them, well, I tell you what, we'll do that again. This time, I'll be the policeman, you be the lady who's lost her dog. But this time, and they get, can you think quickly? Can you, it gives you an idea of people's personality, whether they can take direction, all that sort of thing, and sometimes if you're looking for someone who's funny.
Yeah.
I would say when people as well when people improvise, and I did a long while ago. We were going to start an improvisation company. We didn't because the theatre lost its funding and blah blah. Long story, but we did many weeks of improvisation and trying to put the company together and give ourselves a framework and just a very loose framework, but just getting to know each other. And all of us just all the time wanting to make each other laugh. And one week the director came in, or the guy who's put it together, he said, right, okay, this week, guys, we're going to improvise around subjects, some we've done before. This time, don't play it for laughs. Play it for real. Just see where we go with not trying to be funny, not making this a funny scene, making this just a an ordinary day. Be boring if you want to, but don't go for the laughs. And it was really interesting because that was the one where you're not gagging, you're not making things up to make each other laugh. You are having conversations, and then you got to somewhere really sort of interesting. And yeah. I mean, I did a play a few years back, Death and the Maiden, and there were long complicated scenes between usually two actors, two characters, and we spent a couple of days improvising, basically to find. And we just did domestic scenes between my character playing my wife and myself. We just did domestic scenes, just chatting around the table, making it and if we went no, that's too extreme. Keep it normal, keep it really normal. Great challenge, and it was great, and we really learnt about each other, and I learnt when the girl I was playing opposite, the lady I was playing opposite, when she was getting sort of on the point of emotions, and I thought, oh, I can turn it up here. I can, we learned all that about each other, and we never had the conversations. We just did it by improv and watching. Really interesting.
Powerful way of
Powerful tool. Yeah.
And do you know what I think? Talking of improv and having improv skills in amongst other things, it brought my mind round to if I said to you, who are simultaneously the most difficult but usually the most entertaining audience, who would you say?
Oh, I go with children.
There we go. Improv is an enormously important skill with children where they have some kind of influence on what's going on or some kind of input. I'll give you an example, and I think it's perfect. I did an audition a little while back for a children's show. Sadly, didn't get it. It was I don't know why. I think it would just things didn't tie up correctly, or perhaps the group of actors that were brought together had to have a certain sort of way of working, and maybe I was too old, too tall, who knows? But it didn't sort of work out. But it was a children's show where the children were allowed to sort of make suggestions. And part of the audition was getting it back on track. So obviously there weren't children there at the audition, but essentially you were given a bit of script and you go up to this point, then you get a suggestion from the audience. And then here's the next point you have to get to, and you have to do so almost kind of like a roller coaster. Like you get up to that point, you've got to bring it back down around again. And it was about a fairy tale, something to do with, I think, the Three Little Pigs or something like that, or Three Bears, something along those lines. And the suggestion from the casting director playing a child was, oh no, an alien spaceship has come down. And at that point, you've got to deal with it. And I can't remember exactly what I said, but I was quite pleased with my reaction. But it's like we said, it has to be a yes and. You can't go,
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not a spaceship, that's a plane. Anyway, chat. Because it almost kills the energy, and it's not the way of it. So you have to
It also steals the idea from that child. That child thought about that, and it wants you to talk about its spaceship.
Yeah.
If you say, no, it isn't, the child then has all its imagination quashed and taken away. Or anyone does if you say no to it.
No, exactly. I mean, again, there are the times where, and particularly in that sort of scenario, you will get the odd person, be it child or adult, who goes, I'm going to really try and ruin this now. It is not unheard of for that to happen. Fortunately, it's not too common. Yeah. But you'll always get one little snotty kid who's like, right, I'm going to really mess this up. And this stupid person up here pretending to be blah, blah, blah is not going to know what to do. And you get that just as much from adults as when we do the immersive stuff. Again, not too often. But yeah, improv has such an important part of, I think, nearly all theatre and film and any kind of sort of
why do you think, I mean, like if you look at someone like Mike Leigh, who all his movies, all his plays, some amazing films, some amazing plays have come out of just improvising. That's it. They're 4-5 people enter a room. Okay, we're going to make a story up. Go. Or he says, I want this character, that character, this. I mean, to start with absolutely nothing and then end up with, an amazing film, or, something like Abigail's Party, which I think is a comedy, absolute comedy classic. To come up with something like that is born out of, or Nuts in May. I mean, these amazing films and plays have come from nothing.
Yeah.
Just actors who have a great knowledge of humanity and comedy and are willing to be brave enough to put yourself out there. I mean, but we're talking about things that aren't manufactured. You just like accept and build. There is, of course, then you get to the point where, I mean, a wonderful thing called shit-faced Shakespeare, which I think is probably one of the most dangerous things that's been done in theatre. Dangerous from an artistic, theatrical point of view, and just dangerous from a health point of view. Because if no one knows, there is a company called Shit-faced Shakespeare. One person, and they take it in turns. Within the play, I saw a wonderful one they did, A Midsummer Night's Dream, where one of the characters drinks a lot, and they are shit-faced before the show starts.
Yeah, so I mean, the point of it is that the show is verbatim Shakespeare. Like, it's not like an interpretation. The point is, the show is supposed to be as it is written, as it should be performed. But as you say, you throw in a cast member who barely knows what day of the week it is, let alone like what their lines should be, and you're then in a forced improvised situation.
Yeah,
which
I mean, it's I saw it one night, and one of the guys was he was absolutely slow. He was playing one of the lovers, and he was, and The other thing is because you sit there and you go, okay, how pissed are they? How much are they making it up?
Hmm.
How much are they pretending to be pissed for comedic effect? I don't know that answer. This guy, to me, having had a few drinks in my time, and I've performed once drunk, and that's another story. But that wasn't on stage. That was in an immersive situation, and that
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily my fault. Anyway, I looked at this guy and thought, no, he's pissed. He's definitely pissed.
Yeah.
And he was coming out with some wonderful lines. And he, at one point, he lurched towards the audience, and it was in a fringe venue. There was no fourth wall, and he just staggered towards the audience, and he belched. And I thought he's going to throw up. This woman on the front row that he was 2 feet away, she went, "Oh Christ!" like this, and threw herself backwards, and he just pissed himself laughing. And it was very funny, but he just went and he lost it. It's on the floor. They couldn't carry on for a good 5 minutes. Then he corpsing, drunk, and obviously had forgotten his line, and stood up and just looked at them, and it was just great because he looked at them. He went, "What? What?" like this, and they just looked at it. And I thought, you can't do that without being pissed.
No.
The rest of the cast are then on their best Shakespearean behaviour, but they're ad-libbing like mad. They're throwing lines in, and they're and they're ad-libbing in Shakespeare and trying to get back, and they're just looking at each other, and they then start to laugh as well because it is funny. They lose it, and then I thought, yeah, okay, this is. I don't know how much was improvised. I don't know how much was true, but it was one of the funniest moments I've seen. Certainly someone playing. Was it Lysander? I think it was, and in Midsummer Night's Dream, and it was just he's slaughtered. Absolutely.
I think sometimes the funniest moments of that kind of theatre or the immersive theatre we do aren't scripted and aren't planned
No.
and aren't expected, and the pure innocence of an audience comment can lead to something absolutely brilliant. And I think, love it or hate it, improv has a huge part in performance because yes, you can have a script, and yes, you can have direction, and yes, you can stick to everything absolutely as required. But at some point, there's been development before that moment. At some point, someone's gone, but what if? And that, I'd say writing is almost a way of improvising because you're trying to get to a final point. But I think, as someone who has not done a lot of bespoke or direct improvisation, I think perhaps it comes into my work far more than I ever perhaps realized. So, and
I mean, if you think about it, when you walk into a rehearsal room with a script, you've got the script, but after that, no one really knows. You've got some ideas in your head, but you don't know what the other, however many people in the room are going to do. So you are literally, as we said, running with that, what they throw you at. If you look at that scene and go, oh, she's going to be slightly upset in that scene. Actually, what you're faced with is someone having a complete breakdown. You go, Jesus, I didn't know it was going to be that, and then you work around that. The other characters, the director, you improvise with that. So, I mean, it is all, I mean, I've talked about the play, Fighting Irish a lot, but it was one of those plays that we did a hell of a lot of improvisation around real people.
Yeah.
Everybody in the play was a real person. But the director said, no one in the audience knows what they would have said in that moment in time. Unless there were direct quotes, and there was only a very few of those. And that was only because of things that had taken place in a court. So we had to get that right because that was, it happened. But, the director would go, just keep playing. Just keep playing. And improvisation is I think, theatrically, is one of the purest forms of play because you just go, I don't really care. I don't care what you say to me.
So from a director's perspective, because obviously you've done a lot of directing as well, you will go into a rehearsal room having read the script and planned out your scenes and worked out what you want people to do. But you are then open to them going, but what if I do this? Or them just doing something. And then you're almost watching things develop and kind of on a very basic level going, I like that, I don't like that, I like that, I don't like that. So their improv helps kind of guide you to getting your final product, I would say.
And also sometimes there are elements in the script that you go, this could go either way. We can go with it. There's many ways of playing this. So let's see where the cast take it. Let's see what happens. And then, those moments that you play may just twist the whole thing and lead the play somewhere else. Now, as a director, you may think, I think I want it to go down that line, and the producer and the designer, we're heading down that line. We think that's where we're going with it. But then you all have to be open to it and go, it's going to go, the cast have taken it there. That's where the feeling is. It's not going against the writer. It's not going against the interpretation of the piece. It's just going emotionally and dramatically somewhere else. Yeah. I years ago we did a series of show called the Ha Ha Shows. I wrote and produced with a mate of mine and directed. And I was he would write a load of stuff, give me the script. I would write some stuff. Then he would say, right, we need these props, design these. And then the other actor would come in. They'd go, okay, blah, blah, blah. They'd have that. And it was completely growing all the time. But there was. I remember one day we were working away and we were rehearsing. And we suddenly went, we need another door. We need another door. That's why this scene isn't working. We need another door. So I went, okay, well, let's build another door. But, so the next day we came in and we didn't have the door the next day, but we worked and now it all makes sense. Why? Because we were so rigid with the 2-door situation that when we went 3 doors, there we are. We're
But this is it.
And it was just out of play,
Through improving, through developing, through playing, as you say, you discovered a solution or discovered something that worked. And that's all we're doing when we're doing stuff live. You're hoping something's going to work, and 9 times out of 10 it does. So, but yeah, what an intriguing sort of dive into a world that I didn't think I had a lot to do with, but perhaps have a lot more to do with.
Yeah, I think we all have more to do with it than we actually think, which is what you just said. Yeah.
But yeah. And I have to say, mate, almost every week we improvise because we talk about stuff and manage to make it last 45 minutes or so.
Well, I mean, if you think that's what conversation is, isn't it? It's somebody says something, you react to it, and you say something back.
Yes, and. Yes, and.
And we're all improvising every day of the week, every moment of our lives. So
yeah. And next week, why don't we improvise some questions? Or actually, we could probably prepare it.
We could probably write that. Yeah.
But we will have a guest. We'll have someone lovely to chat to. Lots to learn about them. Lots to find out about their career. And it's a pretty special one. We know who's coming up. This one's been planned for a while, actually. So yes, very much looking forward to welcoming our guest next week. Too. As much as I am looking forward to seeing your lovely face again, mate.
Thank you, mate. That's very kind.
I improvised that.
I was going to say, you just made that up, didn't you?
Yeah. And so no one could say that I can't improvise because that was a load of bollocks, wasn't it?
Wasn't it just, eh? Yes, which made almost believable as well.
Yeah.
No.
Until next week, mate. Thank you, everyone, as always, for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Pleasure as always. Cheers, matey.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.